Hi friends and professional colleagues. Let's discuss on changes in Schedule 3, Part 2 for IndAs financial statement. These changes is applicable from 1st April 2021, that is for financial year 2021-22. Therefore, very important for March 22 audit. First, we'll discuss the structural changes, that is the changes in phase of the financial statement and in schedules and notes. Thereafter, disclosure added in this amendment. There is an additional disclosure to be made under the heading Additional Regulatory Information. And last, the basics changes. Moving on to structural changes. First is lease liability, whether current or non-current, has to be shown below borrowing on the face of the balance sheet. Statement of equity have two parts. Part A will be share capital and part B will be for other equity, that is reserve. Part A is the reconciliation between opening and closing capital. Part B, the highlighted field related to share application money pending allotment, equity component of compounded financial instrument as per IndAs 109, and money received against share warrants have been added to the disclosures. A new trade receivable aging schedule has been added, which has to be disclosed below the trade receivable schedule. This schedule has to give aging regarding outstanding for a period from the due date of payment and in the bucket of less than 6 months, 6 to 1 year, 1 to 2 year, 2 to 3 year, and more than 3 years. And further, it has to bifurcated into undisputed trade receivable considered good, uh, undisputed trade receivable having significant credit risk, undisputed trade receivable credit impaired, and disputed trade receivable considered good, disputed trade receivable which has significant credit risk, and disputed trade receivable credit impaired. And this total should match with the amount which is flowing in the financial statement of trade receivable. Further, if there is no due date of payment, then the schedule has to be given from the date of transaction. Next change relates to security deposit. Security deposit has to be disclosed under other financial asset before it was disclosed under loans. In equity schedule, disclosure regarding promoter needs to be given. Promoter has wide meaning as per section 269 of the Companies Act 2013. Current maturities of long-term borrowing shall be disclosed under current financial liability before it was shown under other financial liabilities. Like trade receivable, now even in trade payable, aging needs to be disclosed. This is to be disclosed after MSME note in the financial statement. Aging should be from the due date, and if is creditor which with no due date, then from the transaction date. For the unbilled dues, that is accrual, does not need aging, but it should be disclosed separately under unbilled dues not due subhead, so that trade payable as per balance sheet matches with the aging schedule. Moving on to profit and loss structural changes. The word and has been removed and the word or has been added in grants or donation received. A disclosure regarding undisclosed income, that is difference between income shown under income tax and financial, needs to be disclosed. Moving on to disclosure requirement, additional disclosure regarding reconciliation of gross and net carrying amounts due to revaluation of business combination needs to be shown for each class of plant property equipment. In case company has not used the borrowed amount for the purpose for which it was taken, then the details where such amount has been used needs to be disclosed. Huge number of disclosure has been added. This has to be given under the heading additional regulatory information. Now management has to comment on few of the CARO 2020 points in the financial statement itself. First disclosure is regarding title deed, not in the name of the company. This has to be disclosed in this format. In case of jointly held Immovable property disclosure should be to the extent of company shares. Second disclosure is regarding whether fair value of investment property has been done by a registered valuer. Third and fourth point is disclosure regarding in case of PP or intangible asset has been revalued and whether it has been revalued by a registered valuer or not. Next additional regulatory information is regarding loans and advances in the nature of loan given to promoters, directors, KMPs and other related parties which are payable on demand without specifying the terms or period of repayment. The disclosure regarding loan outstanding as of March and percentage of total to be needs to be given. Disclosure is needed in broad heading only and not by individual name of companies or directors. Sixth disclosure is regarding capital work in progress. There are two parts of it. Part A deals with aging in bucket of less than 1 year, 1 to 2 year and more than 3 years for both project in progress and project temporary suspended. Disclosure B is applicable if capital work in progress completion is overdue or exceeds the budgeted cost. Important points to be noted here is that disclosure is not required to be presented at asset or project level, but the total is to be matched with the balance sheet amount. In case a project was temporarily suspended, but as of 31st March, the project has resumed, then that will be considered as project in progress. That is to say, the status has to be seen as of the balance sheet date. In case of disclosure B regarding overdue project, most important thing to be noted is that if there is fresh original plan and date has been revisited and revised, then the same should not be considered for determining variation when making this disclosure. Same like capital work in progress, both A and B disclosure regarding aging and of overdue time and cost has to be disclosed for intangible asset under development. Eighth additional regulatory information to be disclosed in financial is regarding details of Benami property in which proceeding has been initiated. Details of property, amount, beneficiary, under which head of balance sheet the amount is sitting, and if not, then why is it not accounted? And other details of the proceeding needs to be disclosed. Ninth disclosure is regarding borrowing from banks or financial institution on the basis of security of current asset. It should disclose whether quarterly return or statement of current asset filed with the bank is agreeing with the books of accounts and reconciliation and reason in case of material discrepancies has to be disclosed. The 10th disclosure is regarding company declared willful defaulter by bank or financial institution or lender. Date and details like nature of willful default has to be disclosed. The 11th disclosure is regarding transaction which struck of company, its nature, its balances and the relationship with the company. Disclosing this has to be given in the financial statement. 12th disclosure is for registration or satisfaction of charges yet to be registered beyond statutory period with reasons. Therefore, MCA 21 site needs to be seen and compared with actual situation. As per the Companies Act, only two layers of company are usually permissible, except few exceptions. Now, the non-compliance of clause 87 of section 2 has to be disclosed. A major additional regulatory information has been added via point number 14 under the head ratios. The company needs to calculate and disclose 11 ratios, and if there is more than 25% deviation versus previous year, then reason needs to also be given. Appendix B of guidance note issued by ICAI gives formula of the ratio. I have added the link for the guidance note in the description of the video. This can be referred for the formulas. 15th disclosure In case of any approved scheme of arrangement, the company has to give a sentence that they have complied with scheme of entries provided in the scheme approved and it has complied with the accounting standard. In case of deviation, the same needs to be explained and reasons needs to be given. Moving on to 16th additional regulatory information relating to utilization of borrowing and securities premium. This disclosure gets applicable in case a company has given loan to a intermediary so that the company gives loan to the third company. For example, A has given loan or guarantee or has given securities to B who acts as a intermediary, whether it is an Indian company or a foreign company, to invest or to give loan to a third company, that is C Limited, then in that situation the following has to be disclosed: date, amount, and amount of fund advance or loan or invested in intermediary with complete detail of each intermediary, date, amount of fund further advanced or loan invested by such intermediary to the other intermediary or ultimate beneficiary, along with complete details of the ultimate beneficiary, date and amount of guarantees, securities, or the like provided or on behalf of the ultimate beneficiary, declaration that relevant provision of FEMA and Companies Act has been complied with for such transaction. For companies covered under CSR, the following needs to be disclosed: amount required to be spent by the company during the year, amount of expenditure incurred, shortfall at the end of the year, total of the previous year's shortfall, reason for shortfall, nature of CSR activities, detail of related party transaction, for example, contribution to a trust controlled by the company in relation to CSR expenditure as per relevant accounting standard, whether a provision is made with respect to liability incurred by entering into a contractual obligation, the movement in the provision during the year shall be shown separately. And moving to the last part, details of cryptocurrency or virtual currency needs to be shown. The details like profit or loss on transaction involving cryptocurrency or virtual currency, amount of currency held at the reporting date, deposit or advance from any person for the purpose of trading or investing in crypto or virtual currency. Moving on to the last part of the video, there is a basic changes for rounding off purpose. Earlier, turnover was the criteria for the purpose of rounding off. Now, total income needs to be considered for rounding off. Thank you. If you have any question, you can put that question in the comment and I will revert to it. Thank you.